So when does a joke stop being funny? Yes, we're talking about the Will Smith and Chris Rock Chisambama debacle, if you want to call it in a different way. Smith, of course, slapped Rock in the face over a joke Rock made about his wife, Jada Pinkett-Smith. The slap itself has become the source of comic material. So this morning, we're discussing the issue with comedian Suhayl Essa. And Suhayl, thank you so much for your time this morning. I mean, you know, there's so many arguments in terms of exactly did Will have the jurisdiction, so as it were, and jurisdiction to slap Chris Rock, particularly given the formalities of the time. But then there's also another bone of contention around how then do you start ridiculing or making fun out of somebody's serious medical condition. As you were watching this unfold, because it's so sad that the actual awards got overshadowed by just a slap, but as you were watching this unfold, what's your take on it? Was it funny? Was it a joke? Was it actually inappropriate?
Well, to be honest, I'm a big fan of Chris Rock's, and I don't think that was the funniest of his jokes, nor was it the most offensive. But, you know, with comedy, there's always a line that you try and push, and sometimes you may take it too far. In this case, I don't really think so, you know? I don't even think it was a good enough joke to get slapped for, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Look, it was a little bit crass almost, right? And I was like listening to what he was saying, you know, leading up to the joke itself. And it was almost like it's a backhanded kind of joke. It's a very weird G.I.
Jane joke. But funnily enough, I actually read almost a conspiracy theory of sorts. Apparently, the reference that he made to G.I. Jane was actually with regards to the actress Demi Moore, who played G.I. Jane and was married to Bruce Willis and then had an affair with a younger guy, Ashton Kutcher. And that was what he was referring to.
And not necessarily G.I. Jane over the hair.
Because, I mean, to slap someone over that doesn't really make sense. But if you're going to make fun of an affair that everybody knows about, that makes more sense to get a slap for.
But wouldn't you say that, I mean, so many articles have come subsequent to that about alopecia, as well as the realities that people are facing when they actually have got the medical condition, about how it actually isn't a laughing matter, because it's a big struggle for many people in various communities, right? And one would say that even as comedic humor, do you make fun of somebody who actually has got a medical condition? And in fact, there's one time that I was thinking, what if somebody has cancer? Do you use the platform and can you make fun of somebody with any form of medical condition? Can that actually be a joke?
Well, you see, it gets a bit tricky, and I think it's obviously subjective. You know, comedy comes with context, the crowd that you're in, the people that you're making fun of. In my experience, sometimes people, it's almost cathartic for them. It makes them feel like they're involved and included in the experience. They don't feel like they're left out. But by making fun of them, they almost feel inclusive in this experience, be it a stand-up comedy show or, you know, maybe an award ceremony. In fact, in this situation, when Chris Rock made the joke, Will laughed.
Actually, we're watching that unfold right now. Is it possible for us to get even a little bit of a sound clip to this so that we can actually make our viewers hear just up until that point? Okay, I do understand that there is no sound. Maybe we can just repeat that part, because he did laugh.
He laughed.
He did laugh. And then Jada had a look of... there he is. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, there you can see him laugh.
Look, there's
he laughed, and then
she's not impressed.
Precisely.
But was it because the whole room went kind of like, it was a very awkward joke.
I mean, like, I suppose the whole room is sort of supposed to...
Oof.
Yeah, there's a slap. Oof.
You can't get enough of that thing.
I'm suffering from PTSD just watching that. But, you know, like, he laughed. You know, and then the weird thing is, it's very difficult to take offense to something that you find funny. Like, he laughed, and then I suppose, you know, when the wife
Jada
goes,
hey, do something.
What are you going to do about that? So I think that's what pushed him over the edge, and that's why he got up and took the action he did. But yes, it is obviously, it's very tricky. You know, you have a fine line. One could argue, I mean, comedians...
Ooh, there's that laugh that you're speaking about, just to interject there.
Yeah.
There's the laugh.
There we go.
Hearty laugh, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, he is enjoying the joke.
She looks like she wants to jump him on the stage.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Or maybe he didn't get the G.I. Jane reference yet. And then she was like, oh, this is what he's talking about. And then he went, oh, okay.
I'm going to go handle it. Don't worry. Hold me back.
Exactly,
baby.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, I think it's there's so many opinions on this, but I don't think you can condone violence in any situation.
Do comedians actually have a code of ethics of some sort? Or like, do they have like a code of conduct of, all right, everybody, we're allowed to have comedic humor, we're allowed to make people laugh, but these are the boundaries. These are the terms and conditions of comedy, so as it were. Does comedy actually have terms and conditions, or is it often the case a no-holds-bar approach?
To be honest, with comedy and comedians, freedom of speech takes precedence. If I'm being bluntly honest.
Yeah.
I mean, comedians, we say and make fun of the most serious things, and it's not malicious. It's not to be hurtful or spiteful. We oftentimes try and bring light to a certain issue, or just to be funny. And yes, sometimes it goes too far, and obviously when it borders on hate speech, then we've got to sort of take a step back. But at the end of the day, there's only one metric in terms of comedy. Is it funny or not? And if the audience is laughing, you know your joke is funny. If your audience is not laughing, that's the metric to determine whether you should stop saying that or not. And generally, the audience decides what we say.
I can imagine that a lot of times comedians must always feel as though, oh gosh, am I going to get into trouble for this? And what's next? And what are the repercussions of actually saying this? And speaking about repercussions, when the Oscars respond and say that they actually also they're thinking about revoking the award that's been given, I believe that he also resigned now. Will Smith resigned from the Academy Awards.
Oh, wow.
And then there was an issue around whether or not Chris Rock should actually press charges against Smith. Just talk to us a little bit about what's your take around the repercussions of it. Should the awards actually take away his award for that? Should Chris Rock change his mind and decide to press charges against Will Smith? What could possibly be the consequence to this?
Sure. That's a loaded question. I think if it was me, if I was Chris Rock in that situation,
you got slapped.
If I got slapped on national TV, firstly, I just want to say Chris Rock handled that brilliantly.
Yeah.
Like he was still able to talk after that smack. He was able to give him a response and have a discussion with him. I don't know if I'd be that calm. But now looking at the aftermath of what's happened and all the discussion that's happened around it, look, there's no condoning violence. Chris Rock is well within his rights to press charges, to take the necessary legal action that he wishes. Should Will Smith lose an entire award he's probably been working for his whole life? It's a very tricky question. I personally think that I don't think he should lose that award. I think that he really had a huge lapse in judgment. I think if Chris Rock wishes to press charges, he should face the might of the law. But it's up to the Oscars to decide what they wish to do now. I think it's really sad that he's a brilliant actor, and there's not many black actors that receive that award, and for them to strip it away from him, it's really tragic. I think.
Wouldn't it be such an irony if they actually were to kiss makeup and actually make a movie out of it?
Oh, I think it would be excellent. I can imagine someone in the Comedy Central boardroom is already thinking of the roast of Will Smith, with the roast master being Chris Rock.
Yeah.
I think it would be brilliant if they could do something like that.
But how often is it that actual comedians get into trouble like this? For telling jokes, for making reference, for being satirical in their approach, and actually have a violent response from an audience member, so as it were. And under normal circumstances, what do you even do about it? Because again, comedy is it's such a thin line, and it's that thin line between being completely offensive to someone and versus being funny. and having the catharsis that comes from actually laughing at yourself. You can either laugh at yourself or find it extremely offensive. How often do we see comedians actually facing this kind of trouble, being slapped or being tuned by the audience member or having people walk out because this was completely offensive? Does it happen quite often?
I would say in South Africa we have our audiences, and us South Africans as a whole, we have very thick skin. I mean, after dealing with apartheid and race relations, it comes very easy to us. I've actually had the privilege of performing overseas and chatting to crowds in the UK and America. Their race relations are very different to ours. We talk about race very, very freely. We make fun of each other. We sort of laugh at each other, and it's all good and it's all cool. In general, I don't think, even if an audience member may take offense, I've never personally had someone come up and personally threaten to be violent towards me. I have had people heckle me and say, hey, I don't find that funny, or I don't approve of that, but never actually violence. In some cases, I have had colleagues, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Deep Fried Man, Daniel Friedman. He got into a lot of trouble for a song that a satirical song that he wrote many, many years ago, and people misconstrued what he was trying to say. And that's oftentimes what happens when audiences get offended. They interpret the art from their frame of reference, rather than looking at it from what the comedian's trying to achieve with this piece of work.
Well, speaking about people that got into trouble, was it also not Kevin Hart who got into trouble with the Oscars for?
Yes. For a tweet, yeah.
For a tweet. I think it was also around the queer community.
Yes.
And that tweet in itself, it was, how do you let somebody host the awards and this is their views on the LGBTQI plus community? And he had to come out and apologize and. But he tweeted about this. This guy slapped someone.
Yeah.
Like you kind of go.
I think it's a lot of double standards. And if you look at it, if you look at the context of the time, he tweeted that many, many years ago. People change over the years. Their comedy changes, their perspectives on life change. And to judge someone based on one tweet and to say, look, we're canceling you, no Oscars for you, I think that was, I believe it was totally unfair. He came out, he rectified the situation, he apologized for what he had said, but it almost felt like there was more to it than just that. I do feel like people evolve, they change, their opinions, their comedy, and nothing in his comedy ever alluded to the fact that he was homophobic or transphobic or anything of that sort.
It certainly is a big kind of discussion now around, what do we even see as offensive and what response? Because I almost feel like this opened up a can of worms that allows for society to respond or react to any form of comedic reference that they may not find funny. That he almost just allowed for audiences to go, oh, hold on a second. If Suhayl doesn't say something that I like, right? And if he doesn't say something, I can just hoy and literally go up to him while he's on stage and just slap him.
Exactly, and that's I feel like that's what's very frightening for a lot of comedians. And anybody who has a public platform to speak upon. If you don't like what I'm saying, you can just come up and just shine and palm, just give me a hot one.
Just give it a
You know what I mean? So it's very scary for all of us, to be in this public space where we do talk about our opinions freely and openly, and we believe that people will see it as it is. It's a joke, and we're trying to make people laugh. It's one of the most difficult jobs on earth. It's one of the most technically difficult in the sense that you get your response immediately. The moment you say what you're saying, you expect a response. And so you oftentimes try and push that boundary, and sometimes it doesn't work. But that's the beauty of the art form, is being able to try and make people laugh.
Help me out, understand, and you keep making reference, and I truly believe it is an art form, but you keep saying the beauty of the art form. When is it art? Suhayl, and when is it just pure rudeness? When is it an appreciation of it as a technical skill? Because it is a skill to be able to to get a reaction out of people, to be able to make people laugh, to be able to make people forget about their problems, even if it's just for 30 minutes. That in itself is a gift like no other, right? But when is it art and when is it just becomes rude? Because sometimes I feel like comedians make fun or make money out of making fun out of people. Where it's no longer about telling the context of the conversation. Now it's about how do you poke, look at this audience member, they look like, look at this. Do you know, there's certain comedians that actually go through the crowd.
Yes, I'm one of those comedians.
Oh, okay.
I am one of those comedians.
So look at this and you do this and then look at this.
Yeah,
like,
I do that. We all
art?
do that. I think, look, here's the thing. Let me put it to you this way. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, wherever you grew up, in your group of friends, did you ever have those moments where you just guara each other? You know, guara just
Always.
like, right?
But
you made fun of each other.
Yeah.
You made fun of each other, but did your friends ever hate you? Did you ever feel like they were malicious or they really despise who you were? You didn't feel like you were being bullied or talked down upon. You felt like, this is fun. We're making fun of each other, and it's okay. I think the intent is very important, and you can always see intent and you can judge it from a comedian's the look in their face. If you look at this clip, for example, when Chris Rock is delivering the joke, he's smiling, he's looking directly at her, he's not trying to, you can see he's not deliberately trying to be malicious.
Yeah.
You can see him looking into her eyes, saying the joke, smiling, and Will laughed at it. Because in that moment, his initial response was, this is not malicious, this is not intended to be hurtful. He's just making a joke.
But could we not go with reference, especially with this, and you mentioned the issue about how it was not malicious intent, but a lot of arguments came about to saying that it may not necessarily be linked to what he was saying now, but linked to even what he said in 2016, I believe, at the Oscars about us. So remember, I think it was in 2016 when there was a whole big conversation around racial discrimination at the Oscars. And the conversation was around why is it that not a lot of black actors are actually recognized at the Oscars, and it was very lily white in terms of the selection criteria. And that time, Will Smith and Jada, I think, had made a decision that they were going to boycott the Oscars. In fact, a lot of black actors had made the decisions that they were actually going to boycott the Oscars. He then came out, and Chris Rock came out. He was hosting the Oscars back then, and I watched the actual response to Jada. He said, I don't know why Jada would boycott the Oscars because it's not like she was invited anyways. And then he kept making references to like, you know, whether or not she actually is really supposed to be there. She the person that is actually supposed to be boycotting the Oscars. She doesn't really count as an actor or doesn't really count as an actress. Why is she actually going out about and saying the Oscars are racially discriminate if she's not even included in the whole bid in the first place? Now, if you watch what happened in 2016 when he was actually making and sharing these sentiments at the Oscars, fast forward to 2021, one would say that, you know, when you've got a chip on your shoulder, you are kind of, it's almost like when Will Smith and Jada Pinkett-Smith, when they were getting dressed, they were like, baby, just wait for it. As soon as it, just wait for it. As soon as he says it's coming. And this time around, I'm going to slap him. You know?
And it's almost like Will forgot. He was like, oh, wait, oh.
We said that this was coming.
Now I got to do something? Okay. You know, so look, I get it. Maybe there was some malicious intent involved. But really, I think that comedians, they oftentimes speak truth to power. And it's oftentimes, comedy is something that everyone in the room is thinking, but no one's brave enough to say. And that's why people laugh, because they're all like, ooh, this is uncomfortable, this is... And I mean, I'm a comedian, like most comedians, we thrive on that feeling of uncomfortable, because it's, a lot of the time, that's the thing we want to say, but we're just too scared to say it.
Because society is so very... just bland sometimes, or very politically correct.
Politically correct. I think that's probably the right way to put it. I think we oftentimes, there's many things that we're thinking. You know, in 2016, when Chris Rock made those comments, a lot of us may have felt at the time, yeah, Will's been doing a lot of work. Will's been on this platform. He's performed. He's acted in this movie. What's Jada been doing? You know what I mean? We think it.
Red table talking.
But yeah, exactly. Having a talk show, you know, in a home with a family. And so we think these things, but we're not brave enough to just go out and say, yeah, but what was she actually doing, you know?
Yeah.
And Chris Rock, being the comedian he is, just put it bluntly and said, why is she? And people obviously, or perhaps she took offense to that. But the reality is it's kind of true. If you think about it, it's kind of true.
We are afraid to say as society, and comedians are brave enough to be able to unmask the political correctness. Do you think you should sue? Would you sue if it was you?
Would I sue Will Smith?
I mean, it's Will Smith smacking you, so you're going to walk away with a couple of change.
Yeah. No, if it was me, if I got slapped by Will Smith, definitely I'm suing. I'm suing him for everything. I am suing him. I want that red table. That's what I want.
You're suing him for the red table?
Yeah, I want the red table. I'm going to have my own show. I'll paint that purple, call it Purple Table Talk. I'm going to change it up completely.
This is your
No, I already have a plan. If Will Smith had to smack me, I'm taking everything. I want to be in Men in Black 5.
Oh, wow.
I will have proper terms and conditions for that.
Yeah, make sure that my life is taken care of for the rest of my life.
Completely.
Yeah, no, as I said, it's a very interesting thing. I think it's a very unfortunate the fact that the Oscars had to be overshadowed by this incident. I mean, to even think that Samuel L. Jackson won. And it was completely overshadowed. Thank you so much, Suhayl. I had a good chuckle. I think my eyelashes are even going to fall off. But I had a good chuckle this morning. Thank you very much for your time and shedding some light in terms of just what does it mean to be in the comedy space, and where do you draw the line between comedy and just pure offense? Suhayl Essa is a comedian joining us this morning for this conversation. Quick one, Bill. Who would you like to slap you?
Who would I like? Will Smith.
No, man, in South Africa.
In South Africa, who would I? Somizi. I think I'd like Somizi to smack me.
So you can take his money too?
Yes, so I can take his money.
There we go. So if Somizi is ever watching your comedy...
Yeah, Somizi, if you're watching, yeah. He shared one of my videos recently, but yeah, if you are watching, I'll take a slap from you. Anytime, anywhere, we can make a date.
Oh, wow, and then he's going to take your money too. Suhayl Essa there, being a businessman so early in the morning.